Hello! In today's video, we have something really fun and fresh planned, y'all. We are gonna go over things I learned after getting rejected from RISD 1 year later. I honestly talk about it a lot on this channel because I think that was like a super formative experience for me. Not necessarily because I got rejected from RISD itself, but just because I got rejected from art school 3 times. So I thought it would be super fun to go over 5 things I learned after having an entire year to reflect on the experience and to just grow as an artist. And so without further ado, let's get into the video. So a little bit of a backstory for y'all. I graduated high school in 2020. I wasn't planning on applying to any art school colleges. I really did not have a portfolio prepared. I took a couple classes of art in high school, but I really just wanted to go into like either business or communication for college because I just didn't think art would be a passion of mine that I would pursue later on to make a career out of. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take the traditional path and just become a cog in the capitalist machine that we live in today. But then, surprisingly enough, my dad was the one who was like, hey, like honestly, you should just give it a shot. Just try to do art. You should just apply and see what happens. So after he said that, I was like, ooh, okay, maybe I should try. Maybe I just don't know my potential. Maybe I'm just like have a ton of imposter syndrome and think I'm a lot worse than I am. So I constructed a portfolio. And it was awful. It was god-awful, and y'all saw how god-awful it was. But just to reiterate, these are real things I submitted to RISD. RISD, the Rhode Island School of Design, aka the best art school in America. I submitted this to them. And the icing on the cake, I didn't even write captions for any of my pieces. I think I wrote captions for like 1 or 2 of them, and then for the rest of them, I just submitted it. I was like, girl. So when it came to spring of 2020, I was rejected from UChicago, Brown, and RISD. Obviously, like I didn't even have the grades for Brown or UChicago. I don't know why I even applied. So that was like a given. And then when I got the rejection, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Like I wasn't supposed to get in. I was not planning on getting in. But it still hurt. It low-key still hurt because when you submit an art portfolio, like you do have pieces that mean a lot to you that you took a lot of time on. When you put art forth for people to judge, like they're almost judging you because your art can be so personal and close to you. And that was with a couple of my pieces. Again, I just kind of threw random shit together and submitted it. But a couple of them like were kind of personal. And so after getting rejected, I was like, oof. Kind of sad. But luckily I ended up getting into USC for communications, and so after getting those rejections, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make sure I get into art school at USC. I'm gonna be an internal transfer. I'm gonna double major. I'm gonna do everything in my power to be an art major because now that I was rejected, I was determined to go all out and apply to art school again and keep applying until I get in, and luckily I got in a year later, which was great and awesome. However, I learned a lot during that period of time, and so I wanted to share some of the things. So now that y'all have like a little backstory, the first thing I learned was I was not ready to go to art school when I first applied. An average, normal person like me cannot just throw in a bunch of pieces together and submit a portfolio. Like that's not how it works. It has to be curated art, they spend a lot of time on, they spend a lot of thought on, and usually, for the most part, you're supposed to write captions. So I don't even know why I applied in the first place. I literally wasted like what, $60 on that application. And so looking back, I'm like, how was I even like confident enough to submit this? Like this is actually like god-awful work. I think it's very much like the Dunning-Kruger effect where my confidence is super high because I just don't know that much and I don't even know what I don't know. But then as you learn more about art, you just realize how much more there is to learn. And so that's what I realized after drawing a lot. I realized 1, I need to work on figure drawings. My observational drawings and technique could just improve. And 3, I just need to be more thoughtful when I'm making art. And so those are a lot of things I practiced on after getting rejected. The second thing I learned was that I needed to live and breathe art. If I wanted to take art serious, as in like make it a career path, make it a living, and to just do it full time, I needed to live and breathe it. This seems unrelated, but when I was in high school, I played super competitive soccer and I thought I was gonna get recruited. And when I played games, traveled for tournaments, and etc., I went all out. I lived and breathed the sport. Everything I did, my classes, my sleep schedule, my meals, everything surrounded soccer, and that's how I was really able to improve in soccer. And so transitioning that mentality to art was really difficult for me, but because I already did it for soccer, I was like, okay, I'm gonna zone in on art. This is now the #1 priority. We are doing this, and I don't care if it takes me all 4 years of college to get into the art major. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna manifest this for myself, and really just give myself the best chance to get into the school. And now that I'm in art school, I can look back and be like, wow, like that was so awesome. Like I tried, and it feels good to be validated in the way of getting in. But I think what I'm most proud of was just my work ethic. You guys know the saying like, oh, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Although there are obviously exceptions to that saying, especially in the art world, but for everyone personally, working hard is the only thing you can do to get better. And I didn't realize how much potential I had to grow until I lived and breathed art. And so I'm super grateful for that rejection, for literally making me understand how bad I wanted it and how far I'm willing to push myself to achieve my goals. And that fire and like passion really came through during the whole like process of me reapplying to art school. And I didn't know I had that in me for anything but sports. And so that was kind of cool for me to see it branch out into other aspects of my life. The third thing I learned is just to know how to manage your discipline and motivation. When you're trying to improve your art, it's really hard to stay motivated for long stretches of time because you're gonna get like bursts of inspiration every now and then. You're gonna wake up, you're gonna wanna draw, get out your sketchbook and just go at it. But there'll be other days where you're just like, I can't even look at a pencil, I can't even look at art. Like I just cannot deal with that right now, creatively, mentally, anything. And even though art block is so difficult to work through, it's honestly like essential to make yourself draw something. Like it doesn't have to be amazing. It's really hard honestly to create a piece you're proud of when you're in art block, but even just taking the time to draw like maybe for 15 minutes during this really tough period is so valuable and will give you a starting point for building up your endurance of creating and for giving you really enough discipline to create on a regular basis. Because if you are making this your livelihood and your career, you're gonna have moments where you do experience art block, but you're gonna have to create art anyways because it's your living. You're not gonna be able to put like food on the table if you don't create. It's a skill that can always be nurtured and grown more, and it's something that's really necessary for the future. So I myself am starting to learn and build the foundation for having more discipline when creating art, even though it's a freaking B word to do honestly, because it sucks. It freaking sucks having art block, but you gotta do what you gotta do. The fourth one is super short and simple. Always be ready for inspiration to strike. You never know what's gonna happen. So I always have a notebook right by my desk in case I wake up from a random dream and just start jotting things down, scribbling things on paper. And recently, I've actually been recording myself on Snapchat like a crazy person, just screaming ideas into my phone. And I was also sunburned on my lips because I didn't know lips can get sunburned. How does that happen? So I have Aquaphor all over my lips, but play the clip. I know you dumbass won't remember this, so listen the Okay, the floor is lava, children are playing. I would say there are about 3 children and then have 1 adult, all in the same composition. The adult is on the ground, but on the ground it's just like the carpet. But the children, they're screaming, they're having fun, they're laughing, they're jumping over couches, and near them is lava, obviously, because like they're imagining it. But the adult isn't imagining it because they failed to imagine shit because they're adults. I don't know. The last thing I learned that's like super generic and really cliche is everything happens for a reason. Obviously, I'm like relatively young and naive. I don't have everything figured out. I'm stupid. I'm literally dumb. But there's so much to learn in life. Like it's impossible to learn all the life lessons because there's so many. Whenever something is thrown at you, I think it's always great to try to see the silver lining in problems and to just keep marching forward through life obstacles. I know like a rejection isn't that like big of a life problem. Personally for me, it was like not as devastating as being rejected from like a dream school because I didn't really expect too much from it. But that rejection was definitely necessary for me becoming the artist and person I am today. And to be honest, if I got into RISD, I think I would still go to USC, and I don't think I would have had the determination to apply to art school. I would have just doubled in common business and I wouldn't even have tried to get into art school if I didn't get rejected. So honestly, a blessing in disguise, and it taught me everything I said previously and so much more. And so honestly, I'm really grateful for that entire college experience. So in the future, when I face 10, 30, 40, 100 different rejections, I will know that yes, it sucks at first, but I will get through it for the better, and I'll come across the other side as a better person and artist. So with all that being said, y'all, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this helped in some way. I know college app season is kicking into full gear, so I wish you guys all the best of luck, and your dream school now may not be the best school for you in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked the video, like the video. If you have a fun comment, critique, or joke to share, comment it down below. We're a small, tight-knit community here, so I always see your guys' comments and I always try to respond. And if you like me, my art, or want to see my journey as an art student in LA, you can subscribe. It's a fun time here. And I think that's the end of the video, y'all. That's the end of the video.